Alright, so I'll be showing you how to filter your data in both BC or SmartConnect on-prem and online. To start, we'll be in on-prem, and to get here, you just need to go to your Data Sources tab and then open up any Business Central query. Once you're in here, you can find the three dots over here to open up the filter window. Once you're in here, I will go over all of these options up here and the columns and then what they actually do. So obviously it's equals, not equals, less than equal to, greater than equal to, greater than, and or. I'll be showing you how to use each of these with the source columns over here. So for this first one, I will just simply drag a source column over here. It is the same name as your source columns, so it should be pretty easy to implement. Once I grab that, I can use one of these buttons up here to pull in the right syntax, which is just equals or EQ. So once I have that in here, I can set it equal to a string that I know is in my data. So I actually have that saved over here. Let me just toss that in here. I'll do that. And then I can hit this preview button up here to check against that. And you can see I'm pulling in a couple of records that have that address. That is actually equal to this filter I have set up here. And then if I set this equals to not equal, basically hitting this button instead of equals, you'll see all the other records except for the ones that are equal to this string that I set up. So I'll hit preview. It'll take a bit longer since there's a lot more records that can be coming in. And there you can see all of the records that do not have that address equal there. So it's pretty self-explanatory what these first two do. I mean, they're all pretty self-explanatory, but using the right syntax can be a little tricky sometimes. All right, so moving on to the greater thans and less thans. I'll move down here to a credit. Let me find a credit limit. Yep. So this is going to be an integer field. Basically, this only wants numbers and not strings. So once I did that, I just dragged it on in again. I'll use this less than symbol, which is represented as LT. I don't know if you caught that, but the not equal to is NE, but you could see that in the filter query over there. LT for less than, and then we can just give it any old number. So I'll stick with 5 here. And then this will pull up all of the records that have a credit limit less than 5, which is all of them since my credit limit is 0 on this one, but could be useful if you have a higher or lower one. So again, the same thing for less than or equal to. I can just remove that LT right there and hit less than or equal to, which is represented as LE. I'll preview it. Not much will change in what comes back, but you can see that is the correct syntax for what we're expecting, and it does work. So now we are moving on to the greater thans and the greater than or equals to. We'll start with greater than or equal to. I'll just hit that button again for it to come on in. You can see it's represented as GE for greater than or equal to. And you can see only one record comes in because that record has greater than 5 credit limit. So again, for this greater than one, we will only see one record come in. But you can see it still works. That is the correct syntax for what we're expecting to come on over. All right, so moving on to the conditional ones, the and the or. So this just basically takes two queries that you already set up before and combines them or divides them. So the and will combine two of them and the or will take either one. So how about I got this simple one right here with the or, and let me actually show you how it works. Or let's just run this one as is. Once I preview it, we should see that the address not equal to my name will show up all of the records, but then the credit limit only the ones with the credit limit greater than 5 will show up. So using that and is important here, but again, to bring that and in, all you do is have to press that button. But this is a pre-saved one that I had for you, and it's the same thing for the or. Let me just bring that in. One thing to note is that when you are using the or, it does have to be the same source column. You can't have an address and then a credit limit over there like I did with the and. It does need to be both address or both credit limit. So as you can see, that does preview all of the data since all of them have an address not equal to my name or an address not equal to 5. As you can see, I put strings on both of these, just single quotes. One last data type that you might run into is a Boolean. So this privacy blocked is a Boolean field and it needs to be equal. You can't do greater thans or any of that, greater thans or less thans in there. So it does need to be an equal, so it'd be equal to false or equal to true. And once you are comparing to a true or false, make sure it is all lowercase, even if your data is uppercase or mixed case. You want to make sure this is lowercase since that's the only way it will actually preview. And you can see here that this is the correct syntax for it, as my preview window will pop up here in just 1 second. Just 1 second, I guess it is a pretty big query since all of them are false, and you can see, yep, it does pop up here, and yep, all false. Perfect. So that is all you need to know for the BC on-premise one. I will now move on to the SmartConnect Online. So again, once you are in SmartConnect Online, go to bulk data sources or any data sources. Then you can find your query down here with change or bulk, and then you can hop into edit over here to start making the edit to the filter. Once you are in here again, you can go into this pencil button to start the filter, and as you can see, it is not as nice as BC on-premise. It doesn't have all those source columns or the buttons, but the syntax is the exact same, so I will just run through those real quick again. I will start with the address. Please use the address again, but we will make sure this returns a valid one so we can actually see some data come back. So address EQ or equal to this address. Hit update. You can see the filter will populate down here. I can hit preview, and then you can see it all. So there is no preview button in that filter window, but you can come out of it to see the preview. So not as good as on-premise, but still a good way you can test it. So now I will do the not equals to, represented as NE. With that same one, as you can see, it's updated here. Preview. It will pull in all of them, but it will only show us 5 as a quick preview. And that does work quite nicely. So now we'll move on to the less thans, greater thans, and all of that. So again, credit limit and then LT for less than, and then just the number 5 will show me all of the credit limits less than 5, which is they're all zeros here. You can see they'll all be less than 5. Again, for less than or equal to, just change the LT to an LE. Press update, press preview, and you can see it does the exact same thing, but if it was equal to that number, you would also see that. Now changing on over to greater than or equal to, this will only return one record now because only one of the records is bigger than that 5, which is right there. Now we'll move to just greater than, not greater than or equal to, which is represented as GT. I will press preview again, and you can see that is the correct syntax. Credit limit, again, you just have to know your source column name to pull that on in. So then that does move us on to the ands and the ors. So I will just use this simple one here, address not equal to my name, and credit limit greater than 5. This will only pull in 1, but you can see that and is in there in that filter window. Preview, you can see everything is in the correct format. Works perfectly as expected. So then moving on to the ors, I will do this one. Again, both of these have to be address. You can't mix and match with credit limit in here. It has to either both be address, both be credit limit, but you can't mix and match with the or. Or is in there. You can see everything is in the correct format, and we do see all the records pulled back. And again, I will go over the Boolean field because Booleans are a little bit different. They need to be all lowercase for either the true or false. When you're comparing it, it can only be equals. You can't do greater thans or less thans. And then just your source column over there. Press update, press preview, and we will see that this is formatted correctly, and you can see all of these are false coming in. Even though they are that big F, you can only use all lowercase with false or true.